What's up, y'all? This is your boy Dreaded Don here, back again, delivering you guys the news. I have beaten Pragmata. The game I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for this game. I did it. I beat it. It took a little longer because I was on some other stuff, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The point being, man, is I beat it. I did it. I did the thing. I completed it, and all I gotta say, man, is this game is phenomenal. This game, the story, the gameplay, the setting, the characters. It's a well-crafted game, and I gotta give it to Capcom. They did the thing. They did exactly what I was wanting them to do. They made me feel something, you know what I mean? They gave me the gameplay I wanted. They put me in the setting, a sci-fi setting I was dying for. Oh no, man, I can't wait for the, another sci-fi game that's coming out. We'll talk about that later. But anyways, point being, man, is that Pragmata has just been, it was good. It's been good. It was a little shorter than I was expecting it to be, but God damn, has the game been good. If you haven't played, I highly recommend going and checking it out. Go play it, man, because it's good. It's a damn good game, man. But let's just get into it real quick because we always got to talk about the discourse this game has had online, man. This game's discourse has been absolutely fucking crazy. I gotta say it, man. Everything that's been going around with this game, if you know, you fucking know. If you don't know, man, if you see this game and you don't think anything other than a fatherly bond or a big brother looking after his little sister, because, hey, I ain't got no kids myself. I'm a big bro. Maybe just think my little sister so fucking much. But if you think anything other than that, bro, like Leslie Jones said, throw your ass in a goddamn volcano. That's it. That's all I gotta say. Period, point blank. You freaking weirdos, and I don't want y'all nowhere near it. That's it. That's all we gotta say. Point blank, right? Second point is the game having the AI and its marketing being pushed by an AI bot right now to, the primary way that the game has been marketing itself on social media has been an AI bot. And because of that, it's a little rough. I got a little rough feelings for that. I got a little rough feelings for that. They also said, have found out that there's the AI art that Diana gives you in the game. I'll show a little bit of that, but in the game, she gives you some art when you give her a couple of the Read Earth memories, and that art is AI generated. I'm a little in between on that because Diana is an AI bot herself. So if you had AI art generated from an AI bot, but it's like, where'd you get the art from? That's the question every time, right? Where'd you get the art from? Point being is, I'm just like, anyway, both of those 2 degrees is where I'm at. But the game itself, as you know, I love to say, chef's kiss, my friends. It's the chef's kiss. But discourse around it, a little while, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. Anyways, main points that we're gonna be getting into, my friends. We're gonna be talking about the story of the game, talking about the gameplay, the systems that the game has in itself, and then just kind of like my overall take of it, because I'm obviously gonna talk about how much I enjoyed it again, right? Anyways, my friends, let's get on into it. All right, so getting into the story bits without trying to give too much away, is you started off the game as Shu. You were essentially part of an emergency situation team that's been sent to the moon to essentially see what's going on. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening on the moon that the company Delphi is the company that's been handling all of the lunar filament that's on the moon. So they essentially have a primary monopoly. It's as if Amazon went to the moon and you just took all the resources and like, hey, we everything that's being done here is on us. And essentially, you're part of that emergency team that goes to the moon and tries to figure out what's going on, because later on you kind of find out that a lot of the staff that was on the moon has been sent off, and everything's kind of been operated by AI now, right? Everything has been automated by AI, and in doing so, you kind of get separated from your primary team. When you get separated from your primary team, you stumble upon a Pragmata, which is Diana. Diana ends up being DEI 032267, if I'm correct. I probably got a little bit messed up, but that's her official bot name. But she goes by Diana, right? And finding her, she kind of explains to you that she's a Pragmata. She was built to handle a lot of the standard functions of helping and assisting with the staff on the base, right? And through that, you get sent on this journey where you want to make contact back with Earth and kind of let them know that you've been separated from your team. A lot of your team's been lost. You want to let them know what's going on with the things that's happening to the moon and why the AI is not essentially functioning in the way that they expected it to be functioning, right? And there's a lot of other things that are taking place on the moon and in different sections of the moon blaze that I'm trying not to give too many spoilers, because it's really very an interesting story that kind of unfolds upon itself. I will say there is a point in which you're on the story, and it kind of you hit a point, you're like, I kind of see what's coming. I kind of see where you're going with that. And I called it out. My girl kind of, she came over. She was like, "Hey, what point are you at in the story?" And I was like, "Well, I think I'm at a point where I understand what's about to unfold, and because I know it's going to unfold, I'm a little wary about things that are around me and in my environment. I got to try to be as big as possible. I'm sorry, but essentially, the way the story unfolds in the first beginning half leaves you asking a lot of questions. There's a lot of things outside of you finding your team and trying to send a signal back to Earth and you stumbling upon Diana that you get a lot more curious about. You get curious about the nature of Diana. You get curious about the nature of the Luna filament that's on the moon and what they're really doing with it, and then in the different sectors and how the Luna filament was really affecting different experiments that they had and how they were taking place. And then on top of that, you get to understand how there were different. If you want to pay attention to one of the logs, I guess what this isn't too big of a spoiler, but you pay attention to one of the logs is a reporter that sneaks upon the base and he starts figuring out his own little clues about what's going on and around the base and how the Luna filament is again affecting the staff and affecting the base and their experiments and the AI itself. So there's a lot of elements that tie into each other, especially when it comes into like, okay, well, what can happen if we start, we're essentially using this Luna filament to 3D print whatever we want. And the Luna filament is just a resource that we can literally print whatever you want. You could print an entire building. You could print guns, consoles, you could print cars, you could print just a plethora of things, right? And because of that, they start experimenting with like, what things can we really experiment with? And I will say it does get into the point in which you're like, okay, well, can we 3D print organic stuff? And I'll leave it at that. That's all I'm gonna take it. That's all I'm gonna take it as. And it gets good. I will say it does get good right there. and outside of just the base story right there, like I said, as you meet Diana, her name is DI0332 3. It doesn't matter, right? Hugh is the one who he essentially, because of that issue that I just came up with right there, he's like, you know what? We're just gonna call you Diana, right? And that's where essentially the bond between Hugh and Diana starts, right? Because in when you first initially reach the base, Hugh's talking to a lot of his team, and he's like, I don't have kids myself. I was personally, like I don't really have any kids. But one of his teammates is like, oh well, I'm excited to get home and go back to my kids. And Hugh's like, well, that sounds like a hassle. And his buddy's like, nah, it's the best. And I kind of understood that sentiment. Like as my cousin recently had his child, I have a goddaughter now, so I'm like, oh well, this is kind of like eye opening. Not really my child, but he through his feelings and his sentiment, I understand the connection that Hugh maybe started to build with Diana, right? And because of Diana just being this almost like innocent girl who it has so much utility in the way that she's able to hack the bots and essentially make them defenseless so that Hugh can actually do something. Because without Diana, Hugh is very vulnerable. He becomes the most vulnerable thing on the moon base at the time, because everything's made out of the Luna film. It's essentially this resource that it's not necessarily indestructible, but it's to the point which if you try to break through it, you're gonna go through some resilience, right? And that bond between Hugh and Diana is strengthened over the length of the story, and as you start to understand what Diana's true purpose is and why she's there and why she has so much utility in comparison to the other standard bots on the base, and why she's a pragmata and there's just other synthetics, you know what I mean, and other versatilities and what else is on the base, right? And I think that connection in seeing the vulnerabilities in each character, Hugh with, okay, well, I have so much utility. I'm one of the engineers for this team that can fix almost anything that needs to be fixed on this base. But when it comes to dealing with these direct situational issues, I'm vulnerable. I can't even stop these bots if I wanted to. But then you have Diana who can't directly affect the box because she doesn't understand how to use a gun. She doesn't understand the environment. She doesn't understand what a beach is. She has the innocence of a child, but has the technical savvy, or you could say like the savantness, or the be a protege in terms of hacking and software development. You can almost see it as, right? And their synergy and the symbiotic relationship for him wanting to be not only just protect who is able to have so much utility for him, but also someone who has so much vulnerability in and of themselves and just innocence to show the world, like, okay, well, I was an orphan myself in Hugh's eyes, right? He was an orphan himself. And so he's like, okay, well, let me be able to show this young innocent bot that, at first, when he was before he even was talking to his team, he goes, man, like, I don't trust bots. But he sees Diana and braces her, takes her in as his own, and is like, okay, well, like, as an orphan and being taken in by a family. And plenty of times they have conversations. She's talking to him about the family he's had and the types of relationships he's had in his life. And he goes to, and Hugh does such a good job to explain the relationships he's had and how they've affected him and the types of ways that humans can be, and goes to show that the relationships and just how to just be human. That's what I say to this innocent bot girl, but who also is so curious, just like he was. It's I could talk on and on about this relationship between them two, because it's so good, man. Like there were several times where I caught myself, I was welling up. I was like, damn, man, like it's good stuff. It's good stuff, man. I'm crying. Definitely good stuff, man. And it's just through and through. It's good. It's just so good, and I love to say it. It's just so phenomenal. It's cohesive from the story setting to the bonds that Hugh and Diana have. It's damn good, man. If we're talking in terms of gameplay, this game has an interesting like upswing to the gameplay, right? It caught me off guard almost a little bit, right? So it starts you off a very basic, and it kind of starts you off very slow. And I think the story, and if you just play the campaign and you don't do any of the outside elements, like there's a training sim that takes you through a lot of other scenarios that you can not necessarily, I guess you can say, would prepare you for the campaign, but the campaign has other things that don't necessarily prepare you as well as the training sim would. And I think that's where I caught that upswing, right? Is I was expecting the campaign and the gameplay for the campaign to be a lot harder than what it presented itself as at the beginning. And then as I went from zone to zone, and there's different sectors, right? So you start off at the beginning sector and you have very, very basic weapons. They give you your pistol, you pick up like a shotgun like weapon, you pick up essentially like a grenade launcher, right? And then you have Diana. She has like maybe one hack that like it opens them up, makes them vulnerable. And then you use a lot of that basic stuff, and you're like, okay, well, this is what I have. This majority of the time what I'm gonna have. You're able to upgrade your suit and stuff. And because of that, it almost puts you in like a false sense of like comfortability. Like, okay, how much am I going to be able to upgrade? How much are they really going to open up for me, right? And they do a pretty damn good job of opening up the gameplay a good bit, right? And I think where they do that is around little sector 2 to 3ish, right? They open it up really nice. And they're like, hey, the game has a lot more to offer for you and a lot more things for you to uncover. And once you uncover these secrets and you do the training sims and you start to upgrade your armor and Diana and your pistol, and you choose what modules you want to use and the different types of the combat modifiers, yeah. It's like the hacking modules and the combat modifiers that you have. And you can have the hacking mode that you want to use. And so like once you start to mix and match all of these different elements into your different loadouts, when you go on the tram and choose different areas that you want to go into, it starts to come together a good bit. But for a while, like it kind of just feels like the hacking portion of the game and then the shooting portion of the game are they're two elements that mesh, but it's almost like at times you're doing one or the other, right? So like there'll be times, I can only hack. I'm not worried about necessarily aiming. I'm just, okay, I'll move Hugh, but I don't necessarily need to move the screen to follow on to the bot to make sure I'm continuously hacking him. And that's kind of where some elements of the training sim take in, and they're like, okay, well, we're gonna put you through the ringer. And for me, I will be honest, when the training sim put me through the ringer more than the campaign did. The only time the campaign put me through the absolute ringer and I was like, man, this is tough, is like at the end. The end, I was like, okay, this is pretty rough. But like a lot of the situations and the simulations that you got to go through in the training sim, I was like, God damn, bro, like this is rough. Like this took like 8, 9 times, 10, 15, 20 times to do this. Damn. But like the rewards are well worth it, right? And because you're looking to get like the extra rewards, I mean, you can get plenty of rewards just from exploring the zones, and you can get a lot of like the upgrade components, and a lot of the Luna filament, and you'll get a lot of the pure Lunium. You get a lot of the resource that you need just by exploring the zones. But doing the training sims and then doing another system that we're going to talk about in a bit when I go through all the systems is like the cabin stamps. Is like you get a bit of resources in getting those resources, upgrading your systems, and then again unlocking more other weapons and exploring and fighting those weapons and fighting those modifiers and then fighting those other hacking modes, the game starts to come together. And in the late portion of the games, you're doing a lot. You begin to start doing a lot. You'll be swapping between like your offensive weapon and then swap like double and then swap again between your defensive weapon and swap to your tactical weapon, and you gotta try to shoot the enemy and hack them and then light them up so their heat modifier builds up so you can shoot them with your main gun, and then each enemy essentially has their own weakness. I mean, like each when you hack them, they open up and they all have their weakness, but in the ways that you take them down, the training sim also helps with that because it kind of teaches you the best way to take down different enemies. Like there was a moment in the game where I didn't understand how to take certain enemies down the fastest, right? But the training sim really puts you through, and it's like, hey, if you don't take this enemy down this way, you're not going to be doing it fast enough. And honestly, it helps a lot. Like there's one enemy that I could explain that you essentially have to hack them. When you hack them, you blow them. You hit them with the riot blaster, which is the grenade launcher. Once they fall, you run over, you just hurt, you immediately just blow them up with the your shockwave gun, right? Not only that, but if you hack to just the standard walker, you can hit them with a one shot with a riot blaster, right? And then on top of that, there's like essentially a bot that would hack. Oh, not necessarily hack the other bots, but it would repair the other bots. And one of the best ways to knock them off is you could shoot a wave of like a hacking wave towards them, and once you hit them with this hacking wave, it knocks them back in disruption. Where normally you'd have to like shoot these one red walls that would stop Diana from being able to hack the bots and disable the red walls, but instead you can just shoot this gun, and it has this entire hacking wave that'll just disrupt the wall and add more hacking nodes on. There's just a lot of cool little things that they had on the different types of guns they had. Outside of the different types of guns and the different types of gameplays and the way that it does add together, one thing that I will say that kind of got on me, and I found a little bit annoying about the game, is that I do wish that they have an execute visual or execute animation, right, for when Hugh goes through a certain node, or Diana goes through a certain node and hacks the bots and gives you a critical shot, or if you build up the heat gauge all the way to the max, it stuns them so you can come in for a critical shot. The thing that sucks is that the critical shot animation is the exact same animation unless you're doing it on a different bot. The only thing I do wish is that the critical shot animation would be different for each gun that you had held at the time of the critical shot, right? So if I have the photon laser, let me laser down all the way through a bot, right? If I have like the missile launcher, let me just shoot like a volley of missiles and just explode them. You know what I mean? If I have like the impact barrier, like just let me just pop the impact barrier right on top of an enemy and just crush them through the floor, almost like Goju's like infinite purple, right? Or infinite purple. Anyways, put me different stuff, but something like that. That's the only gripe that I would say I had with the game. Outside of that, not necessarily the game itself, but just the gameplay. I didn't really have any other issues with the gameplay. I thought the gameplay was really great, especially in the later levels once you start understanding how all elements flow together, and the training sim does that very well to kind of teach you that. And so I guess if we're on the source of what just the training sim, like as I've been mentioning a lot, there's different systems that the game has in itself. Obviously, it has like the data logs, which you can go and sort through and kind of figure out like, okay, what's the story talking about? Whose data logs are these? And then there's different data logs out in the world that you can also discover when you find like these. I don't want to talk too much about it, but like you find these hollow walls, and these hollow walls, there's a specific creator that leaves these logs behind, and she kind of talks about all this stuff that they've been doing, right, in the hollow walls. And then you have, like I said before, you have the report. And they're just two different systems that you can go and find if you're interested in lore. If you're interested in the bot lore and how the bots work and how they look when they open up and their weak points, they have an entire computer system for you to go through with that. You have two different upgrade systems for you to primary access, your weapons and Hugh. You have Hugh's armor, his primary weapon, and then you have Diana, and that's an upgrade system in and of itself. And then you have an upgrade system for your auxiliary weapons, like your offensive, tactical, defensive weapons. You have it for your hackings. You have it for your suit modifiers, like thrusters and how much you repair. You have it for Diana's extra hacking, so her hacking modes. So the more in-depth hacking area. So there's those two different hacking and upgrade areas are gonna where you'd be spending primarily your resource and the things that you find out in the world. And then, like I said, you also have an entire area or an entire path that you spend with Diana, in which you find these read Earth memories, and essentially like holographic left behinds or toys or items, or just memories that we have of Earth. Oftentimes, like a slide, a beach ball on a beach, a kite, things of those sorts that you would give to a kid, or like kids have for their memories, that you get to give to Diana, and she often, like I said, gives you a toy, not necessarily a toy, but an art picture back, and is like, hey, this is what I drew for you, and this is kind of what I've been thinking of you since you've been here. And you get a little cabin coin, and this plays into this bingo card called the cabin coin, and you get it from this guy, this little bot with an entire TV has his face named Cabin, and it's a bingo card that you fill out by turning these cabin coins. And the bingo card is gonna have different types of resources. It's gonna have like a different suit for you to get new visuals for you and Diana. It's gonna have maybe some of the documents for some of the logs that I was talking about earlier, so you can find out a little bit more of the lore if you're interested in that. It's gonna have some logs for the bots as well. It's gonna have some weapons if you're interested in some of the weapons. It's also gonna have specific areas that only unlock on the bingo board if you have done the red zone. So it's gonna have to, you're gonna kind of be not necessarily forced, but if you want to unlock some stuff on the bingo board, you're gonna need to go and do the red zones. And sometimes they'll give you even keys when you turn in the cabin coins that are on the bingo board for you to go and undo the red rooms with. And again, I think I had a lot of fun filling out the bingo card, just because it had a lot of the resources that I wanted on it, and I was really interested in the lore. So I was like, I gotta fill out this bingo board because I want to get the lore. And then there was also a lot of there's some cool suit outfits for Hugh as well as Diana that I was really interested in. I was like, I'm make sure I get this. So a lot of my time was in the training sim. I spent a lot of time with the training sim, just because the training sim, doing that and trying to make sure you got all of the rewards in a perfect run, it feels really good, and it is super rewarding. I think it's the noises. The noises are, man, yeah, the noises get you, man. And then the bingo card was actually a lot of fun as well. And just those systems in general are kind of what you come in contact to in your main primary hub called the shelter. And then outside of those systems, I guess you have like, the different sectors that you're going to visit, and the tram is going to be the primary way that you visit each of these essentially this ball station, like a little, train that takes you through the underground passage of the moon. And that's just going to be how you travel. And those are going to be the primary systems for, again, like I said, that you're going to be interacting with. And all of them, they all feel pretty smooth and cohesive and understandable. I don't feel like, especially when you first interact with the way to upgrade your suit and your weapons, there's not very much you're gonna get too confused about. I would say the exiting stage, when you go to exit each area, it was a little confusing at first, but then you can just tap on the use loadout button, or use previous loadout, and so you can just use your old loadout if you don't want to go through and sort all this stuff. Especially when you start getting a lot of mods, you're like, okay, what mod do I want to use? Do I need to really go through and customize my stuff? But I like the old mods I've been using, kind of like that. But it doesn't get too confusing. Like I said, as I said before, it kind of expands upon itself, and it really starts to flesh out every time you go to a new zone and explore that entire zone and get new items and new mods and modifications. And in doing so, like, those systems really start to feel good. And so, I was proud of the system design. I was proud of all the systems I interacted with on Pragmata. That's all I gotta say. With that being said, man, that's it. That's the all the game encapsulated in and of itself right there. I mean, I pretty much told you how I really felt about the game at the beginning, but if you need another recap, man, the game was phenomenal. It was through and through. I had such a good time with it. Again, only two gripes. I wish it was longer. Wish we had more execute animations. But the story, the character bond between Hugh and Diana, the gameplay, the system designs, the way it all kind of like expands and just like shows you that it has more to offer as you continue to play the game. Felt good. Such a good game. It was a damn good game. It was amazing science, not necessarily science, but like sci-fi setting game, and a puzzle shooter I haven't played. I haven't played a puzzle shooter like this, and I don't know ever. I don't know. I ain't never played a puzzle shooter like this, and I had a damn good time playing it. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what more Capcom has to offer, because if they can continuously do stuff like this, man, hey, put some more of it out. Put some more of it out. You know what I mean? Anyways, my friends, if you had a chance to play Pragmata, let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And as always, my friends, do a little sub, so maybe I can give you some more info. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys on the horizon. Deuces.